Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. Today, you're about to hear the astonishing story of a coin that most people pass over without a second thought. A coin that sits quietly in pocket change, easily overlooked, until someone discovers its hidden value and history. This is the incredible tale of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, a simple 5-cent piece that could be worth thousands, even life-changing money, if you know exactly what to look for. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone who just found a strange nickel in your change, listen carefully. This story might just send you diving into your old coin jar by the end of the video. Let's journey back to 1984. The world was buzzing with change. Ronald Reagan was President of the United States. The first Apple Macintosh computer was introduced. Michael Jackson's Thriller was on every radio. And in the background of it all, the US Mint was quietly producing millions of coins, each stamped with history, each carrying potential, and some, carrying a mystery. Among the coins struck that year was the Jefferson nickel, a staple of American coinage since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel features the profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. It's simple, classic, familiar, but in 1984, something unusual happened during production. While hundreds of millions of nickels poured out of the mints, a tiny number of them carried errors so rare and specific that they turned these 5-cent coins into collector legends. Let's start with what you need to look for. First, the Philadelphia Mint struck most of the 1984 nickels without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint versions feature a small D on the front, just beside Jefferson's ponytail. But here's the twist. Some of these coins carry significant minting errors, and those errors are exactly what transforms a basic coin into a valuable collector's prize. One of the most dramatic and famous examples is the full steps variety. To understand this, we need to look at the reverse side, Jefferson's home, Monticello. At the bottom of the building are steps leading up to the front door. These steps are notoriously difficult to strike cleanly due to the coin's design and the wear that quickly affects circulation coins. But if you find a 1984 nickel with full steps, meaning 5 or 6 complete, sharp, and uninterrupted lines on the stairs, it means the coin was struck with precision and power, and preserved perfectly. These nickels, in high-grade condition with full steps, are extremely rare, and they're highly desirable among collectors. But full steps isn't the only treasure hidden in these coins. Let's talk about die errors, specifically die cracks, die chips, and die clashes. A die crack is a small, raised line on the coin where the die used to strike the coin has actually cracked. These can appear anywhere on the coin, on Jefferson's face, the rim, or even across Monticello. If the crack is prominent and the coin is in good shape, it instantly becomes a collector curiosity. Then there are die chips, blobs of metal that appear on the coin due to a broken piece of the die. On the 1984 Jefferson nickel, these can appear on Jefferson's nose, his coat, or even in the windows of Monticello. Some collectors call these funny names, like Jefferson's Booger, or Monticello Blob, and trust me, these quirky names only increase collector interest. Now let's talk about struck-through errors. These are perhaps the most visually shocking. During the minting process, if a piece of debris like cloth, thread, or grease gets between the die and the planchet, it leaves a wild, distorted imprint on the coin's surface. A 1984 nickel struck through cloth or grease can look completely alien, like it's melting or smeared. Each of these coins is one of a kind. Another variation to watch for is the off-center strike. If the coin wasn't perfectly aligned in the press, it gets struck off to the side. A minor off-center strike may not be worth much, but a dramatic one, say, 40% or 50% off-center, and still showing the date. That's jackpot territory. Let's not forget about double dies. Although rare for this year, there have been reports of doubling on the date, Liberty, or even Jefferson's eye and cheekbone on 1984 nickels. When true doubling is verified, it boosts the coin's value tenfold, especially in high grade. And speaking of grade, this is the most important part. In numismatics, a coin's condition is everything. Coins are graded from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS 70. Most coins from 1984 have been through decades of circulation, banged up, worn down, and faded, but if you come across a 1984 nickel in mint state, untouched by circulation, with that original shine and luster, that's rare. That if it also has a major error, like a dramatic off-center strike, struck through debris, or a strong die crack, and if it's graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC as mint state 66 or higher, possibly with full steps, then you're not just holding a nickel. You're holding a treasure. And now, let me tell you the story that shook the numismatic world. A collector, going through an uncirculated roll of 1984 Jefferson nickels, discovered a coin that looked perfect at first glance. Shiny, no wear, brilliant luster. But upon closer inspection, there it was, a bold die clash on Jefferson's face. Clear full steps. Sharp detail everywhere. He sent it in for grading. The result: MS 67 full steps. One of the highest graded examples ever recorded for that year. When that coin went to auction, collectors from around the world competed, and when the final bid came in, the hammer dropped on a sale price of $73,000. Yes. You heard that correctly. $73,000, for a 5-cent coin, from 1984. A coin that most people never give a second glance at. So here's what you need to do now to go through your change. Look at every 1984 Jefferson nickel you have. Use a magnifying glass. Check Monticello's steps. Look for doubling, cracks, chips, off-center strikes, or anything unusual. And if the coin looks perfect, red luster, full steps, no wear, don't spend it. You might be holding something worth more than your car. More than your house rent. You might be holding a $73,000 nickel. Thank you for joining us, where we explore the rarest and most exciting coins from across the globe and deep in America's change. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another discovery. And now it's your turn. Have you ever found a strange Jefferson nickel? A coin with a weird mark? Or maybe a brilliant, untouched piece from your grandfather's drawer? Drop your story in the comments. We love hearing from collectors like you. Until next time, keep looking closely, because sometimes, the biggest treasures are hidden in the smallest coins. Top 2. What if I told you that a coin you've probably handled dozens of times, a simple 5-cent piece from 1990, might be worth far more than what it seems? That's right. Today we're diving deep into the story of the 1990 Jefferson nickel, a coin that's quietly become a hot item among serious collectors. It may look ordinary at first glance, but some of these coins have rare characteristics, unique errors, special varieties, and brilliant conditions, that can turn them into miniature treasures. So grab your magnifying glass, pull out that jar of nickels, and listen carefully. Because one of these coins might be worth a fortune, and you won't believe the number at the end of this video. Let's begin our journey in 1990. The United States is entering a new decade. Technology is on the rise. The Berlin Wall has just fallen, and Americans are seeing the dawn of a new era. But in the background of all this global change, the U.S. Mint continues its vital work, producing billions of coins for everyday commerce. One of those coins is the Jefferson nickel, a design that has been circulating since 1938. Featuring the left-facing profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse, it's a familiar piece of American change. Now, the 1990 Jefferson nickel may not jump out at you right away. Produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with mint marks P and D, respectively, the total mintage numbers were enormous, over 1.7 billion nickels that year. So you might ask, how can any of these coins be worth more than 5 cents? Let me tell you the truth. Not all 1990 nickels are created equal. Let's uncover the hidden details, the minting mysteries, and the collector's secrets that make some 1990 Jefferson nickels worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. One of the most exciting things to look for is full steps. What are full steps? On the reverse of the nickel, Monticello sits proudly, and at the base of the building are the steps leading to Jefferson's iconic doorway. In most cases, these steps wear down quickly or are weakly struck during minting. But once in a while, a coin is produced with such a perfect strike that all 5 or 6 steps are sharply visible and separated. This is known as the full steps variety, and it's a major target for Jefferson nickel collectors, but these aren't easy to find. Out of the millions of nickels struck each day, only a few will display full steps with no marks, no scratches, and no wear. If you find a 1990 Jefferson nickel with full steps, and it's in mint state condition, you're holding something very special. Now let's talk about errors. And 1990 is a year with some incredible mint mistakes that boost the value of this 5-cent piece far beyond face value. Let's start with the double die variety. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin has been impressed more than once, but with slight misalignment. The result is visible doubling on certain parts of the coin, such as, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even Jefferson's eye in profile. These coins can be subtle to the untrained eye, but collectors know how to spot them, and they're willing to pay top dollar for them in pristine condition. Next, let's take a look at off-center strikes. An off-center strike occurs when the coin blank isn't properly positioned during the strike. This can result in a coin that's shifted to one side, with a blank crescent shape on the edge. If a 1990 nickel is off-center by more than 30%, and the full date is still visible, it's instantly more desirable. Even more dramatic are broad strikes, which happen when the collar that holds the coin in place fails, causing the metal to spread out wider than normal. Broad-struck nickels look larger than usual and have smooth, sometimes warped edges. In high-grade condition, these types of errors are rare and valuable. Another thing to watch for is the struck-through error. Sometimes, a piece of debris, cloth, wire, grease, or metal shaving, gets in the way during minting. The resulting impression on the coin can appear wild and bizarre. These coins are one of a kind, and collectors go wild for them, especially if the coin remains uncirculated, and we can't leave out the clipped planchet. Imagine finding a nickel that looks like someone took a bite out of the edge. That's a clipped planchet, caused during the cutting phase of blank production. These coins are dramatic, easy to spot, and highly sought after when they have a visible date and are in good condition. Now, let's talk about the importance of condition. In coin collecting, grading is everything. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from poor, P1, to mint state, MS, 70. Most 1990 nickels you'll find in circulation are scuffed, worn, and discolored from decades of use, but if you happen to find one that's bright, shiny, with original mint luster, and no scratches or contact marks, you may be looking at an MS-65, MS-66, or even MS-67. Pair that high grade with a major error, and the value skyrockets. Let me tell you a true story. A collector in Ohio, going through a sealed roll of uncirculated 1990 nickels, noticed one coin that sparkled brighter than the rest. Not only did it have full steps, but upon closer inspection under magnification, there was a double die on Liberty and a slight clash mark near Jefferson's neck, proof of a die clash error. He submitted the coin for grading. The result: 1990 Jefferson nickel. Double die. Full steps. Mint state 67. When the coin went to auction, the numismatic community lit up. Bidders from around the country competed fiercely. After a long, intense round of bidding, the coin sold for a jaw-dropping total of $50,000, yes, $50,000, for a 5-cent piece, from 1990. Now imagine, how many 1990 nickels have passed through your hands over the years? How many are sitting in your coin jar, or hiding in an old drawer? This is your sign. Go look, examine every 1990 Jefferson nickel you have. Use a magnifier. Look for doubling. Look for clean, sharp steps on Monticello. Look for clipped edges, off-center designs, strange impressions, or high luster surfaces. And if you find a coin that checks even one of these boxes, don't spend it. You may be holding your very own $50,000 nickel. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of U.S. coins. If you're passionate about discovering hidden treasures, understanding mint errors, or just love a great coin story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video. And now we want to hear from you. Have you found a 1990 nickel with anything unusual? A strange strike? A bold step detail? Drop your story in the comments below. We read every one. Until next time, remember, every coin tells a story, and some are worth $50,000. Top 3. We're diving into one of the most overlooked yet surprisingly valuable coins in modern U.S. coinage history. It's small, common, and easy to miss, but behind its copper-nickel surface lies a hidden potential for greatness. That coin is the 1999 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, this coin might look like just another 5-cent piece that's passed through vending machines and pockets for over 2 decades. But what if I told you that certain versions of this coin, because of specific errors, die variations, and preserved conditions, are now highly valuable among collectors? Yes, that same nickel you've probably ignored 1,000 times could be worth thousands of dollars. So listen closely. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is so special, how to spot the key signs of rarity, and how one of these 1999 nickels shocked the coin world when it went to auction. Let's start from the beginning. The year is 1999. The world is gearing up for Y2K. Everyone is preparing for the new millennium. The US Mint is operating at full speed, producing billions of coins to support everyday commerce. Among these were the standard Jefferson nickels, which had been in circulation since 1938, bearing the profile of President Thomas Jefferson and his iconic home, Monticello. On the reverse, the mints responsible for producing these nickels in 1999 were Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D. The Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on its nickels that year, while the Denver Mint placed a small D next to Jefferson's ponytail. Over 1.6 billion Jefferson nickels were struck in total that year. But here's where things get interesting. Despite the massive production, only a tiny fraction of 1999 nickels are considered valuable. Why? Because of the errors, unintentional mistakes during the minting process, and the ultra-high-grade coins that never entered circulation. Let's explore the specific features that make certain 1999 nickels worth more than a brand new car. First up, the full steps variety. Collectors obsess over a feature that's easy to miss but incredibly important: the steps on Monticello. On most nickels, those steps are weakly struck or partially worn due to circulation and poor striking quality. But once in a while, a coin will display 5 or 6 full, sharp, and unbroken steps on Monticello's base. These are called full steps nickels, and they are extremely rare in modern dates like 1999. A coin with full steps in mint state 66 or higher becomes a true collector's gem. Now, let's move into the thrilling world of mint errors, the kind that make headlines. One of the most dramatic and valuable types is the off-center strike. If a coin is misaligned during minting, the design will appear shifted, sometimes severely. The more off-center it is, and if the full date remains visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1999 nickel with a 50% off-center strike can be a 5-cent piece no more. It can be a small fortune. Another error to watch for is the clipped planchet. This happens when the metal strip used to punch out blanks overlaps, leaving a bite taken out of the coin. These coins look like someone took a chunk out of the side and can be especially valuable if they have a clear 1999 date and no excessive wear. Then there are the struck-through errors. These are fascinating and unique. During the minting process, if something like grease, wire, thread, or debris gets caught between the die and the blank, it creates an unusual, distorted image on the coin. No two struck-through coins are the same, which makes them even more collectible. And then there's the elusive double die. While there are no widely confirmed major double die varieties for the 1999 nickel, yet, there have been reports of minor doubling on the lettering in Jefferson's eye or nose. If confirmed and found in high-grade condition, these double die varieties would absolutely explode in value on the collector's market. Also, keep your eye out for die chips and die cracks. These aren't technically supposed to be there, but when parts of the die start breaking down during production, small lumps or cracks form on the coin. When well positioned, say, on Jefferson's face or across Monticello, they give the coin character, and collectors go nuts for unusual varieties like this. Now, let's talk about what really sets value apart: the grade of the coin. Most 1999 nickels are heavily worn. They've been in change, in cash drawers, and in circulation for over 2 decades. They're dull, scratched, and dirty. These coins are worth face value, 5 cents, but if you find a mint state 66, 67, or even 68 coin, untouched by circulation, with brilliant luster, a sharp strike, and no contact marks, now you've got something truly special. Add in full steps or a rare mint error, and it's a coin people are desperate to add to their collection. Now, here's the story that rocked the collecting world. A collector, known for hunting through unopened mint rolls, came across a 1999 Jefferson nickel that looked unusually sharp. At first glance, it was just shiny. But under a 10x magnifier, he saw complete full steps, strong edge detail, and a small struck-through grease mark near the top of Monticello that he sent it to NGC for grading. When the grade came back, MS67 full steps with a verified mint error, the buzz began immediately. When it hit auction, the coin sparked a bidding war among serious nickel collectors, and finally, when the gavel dropped, this humble 1999 nickel, made of copper and nickel, weighing 5 grams, and originally worth 5 cents, sold for a staggering $34,000, yes. $34,000, for a coin from 1999. For a nickel you might easily pass up every single day, and now I have to ask you, have you checked your 1999 nickels, because the next one could be yours. Take a moment today and pull out that coin jar, that old drawer of change, those forgotten rolls. Look closely at every 1999 Jefferson nickel you find. Check for full steps. Search for doubling. Examine the edges for clips. Look for odd textures or strange metal patterns. And if the coin is in perfect condition, shiny, clean, and crisp, don't ignore it. You might be holding a $34,000 coin without even knowing it. Thank you for watching and joining us on this exciting journey into the secret world of modern US coins. If you love learning about rare coins, wild errors, and amazing discoveries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a new video, and let us know in the comments, have you found a weird or beautiful 1999 nickel? Do you have coin stories of your own to share? We'd love to hear about your discoveries. Until next time, remember, some coins may be common in your hand, but priceless in the right eyes. Top 4. We're going to talk about a coin that's modern, underrated, and often passed over, but for the keen-eyed collector, it's a coin that could be shockingly valuable. Let's dive deep into the world of the 2002 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece that, on the surface, seems ordinary. But beneath its copper-nickel shine lies a story of rarity, minting secrets, and unusual errors that have turned some of these nickels into collector gold. So, whether you're a die-hard numismatist or just someone curious about the change jingling in your pocket, listen closely. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and just how valuable a 2002 nickel can be. Let's begin. The year is 2002. The United States is adjusting to a new millennium. The euro has just been introduced in Europe. The Salt Lake City Winter Olympics are making headlines. And in coin news, the US Mint is still hard at work, producing billions of coins to feed the economy, among them, the Jefferson nickel, a coin that had seen few changes since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel displays a left-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his famous home, Monticello, featured on the reverse. But while the design seemed unchanged, something very interesting was happening in 2002. You see, the Jefferson nickel was on the verge of transformation. The Mint was preparing for the Westward Journey nickel series, which would begin just 2 years later in 2004. Collectors began paying closer attention to these late-date nickels from the original Schlag design, especially the ones produced just before the redesign. But it wasn't just history that made the 2002 Jefferson nickel interesting. It was the errors. It was the varieties. It was the condition. Let's break this down. In 2002, Jefferson nickels were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, with a P mint mark, and the Denver Mint, with a D mint mark. Together, they struck hundreds of millions of coins. But as is often the case, a small number of those coins came out, not quite right. And that's where the real value lies. Let's start with one of the most famous details among Jefferson nickel collectors, full steps. On the back of the coin, Monticello's steps, those tiny horizontal lines at the base of the building, are notoriously hard to strike clearly. Most nickels show worn down or blurred steps. But occasionally, a coin is struck so sharply that you can see 5 or even 6 full, uninterrupted steps. These are called full steps nickels, and they are extremely rare for modern dates like 2002. In fact, most Jefferson nickels from the early 2000s show soft strikes, making full steps examples from this year even more collectible. Now, let's talk errors, the exciting surprises that happen when something goes wrong at the Mint. First up is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank coin, or planchet, isn't properly aligned with the dies. The result? A coin that looks lopsided, with part of the design missing and a blank crescent on one side. A 2002 nickel with a 40% to 60% off-center strike, and with the full date still showing, can be incredibly valuable, especially if it's in mint condition. Next, we have the clipped planchet error. This is when the metal strip used to punch out blanks overlaps during cutting, causing the blank to have a missing bite on the edge. A 2002 nickel with a clean, curved clip and full design elements intact is rare, and can catch serious attention at auction, but the errors don't stop there. Let's talk about struck-through errors. These happen when something, grease, metal shavings, thread, even fabric, gets caught between the die and the coin blank during striking. The result is a distorted or ghostly image, where part of the coin looks smudged or melted. Every struck-through coin is unique, and collectors are always on the hunt for them. Then we have die cracks and die chips. Over time, the dies used to strike coins wear out and begin to break. This creates thin, raised lines, die cracks, or blobs of extra metal, die chips, on the finished coin. On 2002 nickels, die chips can appear on Jefferson's face, hair, or even on Monticello. Some of them are so large and dramatic that they've been nicknamed, like the Jefferson horn or crown chip. Even more sought after is the double die variety. Though not widely known for this year, some examples have shown doubling on "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. If verified, these double die coins could skyrocket in value, especially in uncirculated grades. Speaking of grades, let's talk about why condition is king. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from poor, P1, to a perfect mint state, MS 70. Most nickels you find in circulation are covered in scratches, dull from wear, and often discolored. These are worth face value, but if you come across a 2002 Jefferson nickel that's uncirculated, with bright luster, no contact marks, and sharply struck details, it could grade as high as MS 66 or MS 67. And if that same coin has full steps or a rare error, it could be worth hundreds, maybe thousands. Let's hear a real story from the world of collectors. One man, an amateur coin roll hunter from California, had a simple hobby, searching bank rolls of nickels. One day, while hunting through a fresh roll of 2002 P nickels, he came across a coin that looked almost too perfect. Under magnification, it had full steps, a struck-through error across Monticello, and barely a single mark on its fields. That he sent the coin in for professional grading. The results: 2002 P Jefferson nickel. Mint state 67. Full steps. Struck through error. The coin was one of only a handful known with that combination of attributes. At auction, it became a star attraction. Collectors were stunned by its pristine condition and dramatic error, and when the bidding ended, the final sale price shocked everyone. That single, common-looking nickel, produced in 2002 and originally worth just 5 cents, sold for a jaw-dropping $27,000. Yes, you heard that right. $27,000, for a nickel, from 2002. Now the big question: have you checked your 2002 nickels, because one of them, quietly hiding in your pocket change or coin jar, could be worth a fortune. Here's what to do: go grab every 2002 nickel you have. Look for sharp detail, especially on Monticello's steps. Check for unusual edges. Examine for doubled letters, cracks, chips, or smudged areas. Use a magnifier if you can. And if you see something unique, don't ignore it. You might just be holding the next $27,000 nickel in your hands. Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening exploration of modern coins. If you love discovering the hidden stories in everyday money, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss a new video. And now, tell us in the comments, have you ever found a strange or perfect-looking nickel from 2002? Share your story, we'd love to feature your find. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp and your change close, because in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. Top 5. We're unlocking the secrets behind one of the most fascinating and historic nickels ever minted by the United States. A coin born in the year 2004, surrounded by a whirlwind of change in the coin collecting world. This isn't just any 5-cent piece, it's a Jefferson nickel that tells a bold American story, features special designs, and in certain rare conditions and varieties, it can be worth far more than anyone could imagine. Yes, we are talking about the 2004 Jefferson nickel, but what makes this coin so different, so desirable, and so surprisingly valuable, you're about to find out. So sit back, turn up the volume, and listen very carefully, because by the end of this video, you'll not only appreciate the hidden beauty of this nickel, but you'll know exactly what to look for if you're hunting for a coin that could change your life. Let's begin. The year is 2004. A new chapter is unfolding in American coinage. For the first time in over 65 years, the familiar Jefferson nickel was getting a makeover. In honor of the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition, the United States Mint launched the Westward Journey nickel series, and the 2004 nickels were the first in this historic redesign. That's right, 2004 marked a turning point. Instead of the classic Monticello reverse, the Mint introduced two new reverse designs, both reflecting key moments in America's westward exploration. 1. The Louisiana Purchase/Peace Medal Reverse, featuring a replica of the original handshake medal presented to Native American leaders, symbolizing diplomacy and alliance. 2. The Keelboat Reverse, depicting the large riverboat that Lewis and Clark used on their journey, complete with crew on board. Now, here's where it gets really exciting. There are two major types of 2004 nickels, Peace Medal and Keelboat, each with its own design, history, and errors. That's right. 2004 was a year of innovation, but it also brought with it a series of minting mistakes, striking anomalies, and rare varieties that now make this coin a must-have for collectors. Let's break them down. First, let's talk about the design and varieties. The Peace Medal Reverse was produced in large numbers by both the Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D, mints. The Keelboat Reverse followed shortly after and was also minted at both locations. But here's the thing, while hundreds of millions were made, only a tiny percentage of these nickels were struck with perfection. And an even smaller number were struck with valuable errors that make them incredibly rare. Let's talk about those errors now, because this is where your 5-cent coin turns into thousands of dollars. One of the most famous errors from 2004 is the die clash. This happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a coin blank between them. When a coin is later struck using those damaged dies, parts of the reverse image appear faintly on the obverse, and vice versa. A die clash error on a 2004 nickel, especially if it's clear and dramatic, can be highly collectible. Then we have the struck-through errors, which occur when foreign materials like grease, fabric, or metal shavings interfere during striking. The result is a coin that looks ghosted, smeared, or partially missing design features. These are rare and totally unique, and serious collectors love them. Also valuable are off-center strikes, where the coin is misaligned in the press and the design ends up shifted. If the date is still visible and the coin is off-center by 30% or more, it's often worth hundreds, and sometimes thousands. Another thing to look for is the clipped planchet, an error where a piece of the coin's edge is missing due to a miscut during blanking. These coins are visually striking and highly prized when in good condition. And then we come to the double die variety. These are errors from the hubbing process, where doubling can be seen on the lettering or design. If you spot clear doubling on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or on the hands of the Peace Medal design, you might be looking at a coin that's truly rare. Even more common but still collectible are die chips and cracks, especially on Jefferson's face or the Keelboat's masts. These blobs, or raised lines are small minting flaws, but they give the coin unique character, and in mint condition, they're worth real money. Now let's talk about grading, because condition plays the most critical role in a coin's value. The 2004 Jefferson nickel, especially from the Westward Journey series, is known for its weak strikes and poor detail. That's why collectors go crazy over coins that are graded MS66, MS67, or even higher, with sharp detail, no contact marks, and strong luster. Add in a full steps designation. Yes, even with the new reverses, collectors still value those clear, uninterrupted steps on Monticello if you find one struck with the older die, or a dramatic error. And now we're talking about serious money. And now, let's hear a real-life story that stunned the coin collecting community. A young collector in Oregon, going through a roll of 2004 D Keelboat nickels, found a coin that looked different. Not just shinier, but different. He noticed a strange smudge behind Jefferson's ponytail, only to realize it was a struck-through error, possibly from grease or fabric. And upon closer inspection, the coin had full design detail, zero wear, and no contact marks that he submitted the coin for grading. The result? 2004, D. Jefferson nickel, keelboat reverse, mint state 67, struck through error.at auction. It didn't just attract attention, it drew bidding wars, and when the final hammer came down, that tiny 5-cent coin sold for $24,000, yes. You heard that correctly. $24,000, for a nickel minted in 2004.so. Now it's time for you to take action. Go check your pocket change. Dig through your coin jars, your drawers, and those old mint rolls. Look for 2004 Jefferson nickels, both the piece metal and keelboat designs. Use a magnifier. Examine every detail. Check for odd marks, off-center strikes, missing details, and ultra-sharp, brilliant finishes. Look at the steps, the edges, the lettering, because one of those coins, possibly sitting in your hand right now, could be the next $24,000 nickel. Thank you for joining us on this exciting exploration. If you enjoy discovering the hidden stories in American coins, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a rare coin revelation. And tell us in the comments, have you found a unique or unusual 2004 nickel? Let us know, we may just feature your story in an upcoming video. Until next time, remember, some of the most valuable treasures in America aren't buried, they're right in your pocket.